The views expressed and the opinions given by the individual host and their guests do not necessarily reflect those of Para X, its affiliates, or its sponsors.
Welcome to Stirring the Cauldron on the Para X Radio Network. And now, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Hey, merry meet everybody, and welcome to Stirring the Cauldron. Now, my guest tonight is author T.J. Perkins, who is a very gifted and well-respected author in the mystery, suspense, pagan fantasy genre, and she's been writing professionally for over a decade. Her fiction books include Imogen the Tapestry, the Kim and Kelly Mystery Series, the Shadow Legacy Series, and Four Little Witches. She's also practicing Wicca, or has been practicing Wicca for 13 years, and tonight we're going to be talking about her latest book called The Healthy Witch. It's a holistic kind of witchy workbook that combines medical knowledge with magical healing to put us where we need to be and get the most out of life. And since most of us are cooped up in the house these days, I think a little healthy advice is a good thing. So, TJ, welcome to the show.
Thank you so much. It's glad to be here.
It's good timing. We need to get a little bit healthy.
Just a little bit healthy.
Yeah, I mean, cabin fever and health are kind of, at opposite ends of the spectrum here. So we're going to fill everybody in on what's going on here. But yeah, okay, so I just said that you're a prolific writer, but as I mentioned, a great deal of your writing is fiction, and this new health and wellness book is really a change for you. So what led you into that direction?
It really is, and I have never done anything like this before, but I just kept getting the message from the goddess that I had to put something out. So, I mean, pretty much, starting into my late 40s, going through the whole lovely menopause thing that, most of us go through, and gaining the weight and not being able to figure out, what's wrong, why aren't I losing it? Well, can I do this diet or that diet? And am I exercising enough? Am I doing it right? And I just kept doing all these different things, trying to figure out what's right and what's wrong, and, making notes. And it's taken me years to figure things out. And throughout it, I also suffer with chronic, upper back and neck pain. And I, of course, have always been very athletic. I used to be an aerobics instructor. I used to be on a high-impact aerobics team. I mean, I started teaching aerobics back when Jane Fonda had her little cassette tapes out.
Wow.
And I used to lead a group when I was in the Navy on an aircraft carrier. We used to borrow a room, and I had like a whole following of people that would run on the deck of the ship with me and follow the aerobics. So I've always been into all that, martial arts and fencing and horseback riding and everything I've done. Of course, you hurt yourself. Mm-hmm. And then as the older you get, the aches and pains start coming out. A lot of the athletic, listeners, they understand this. And, of course, you're in a car accident, you hurt your back. So now you got all kinds of compound things happening. Couldn't figure out what was going on. Go to this chiropractor or that chiropractor, try acupuncture and do this or that. Different things I tried, and I'm always taking notes. Sure enough, it starts to help you, and then you plateau. And then it feels like I've been going to this person for so long, doing this, and now it's not working anymore. So then you stop, and then you try something else. So, finally, I started going to this woman. She is a chiropractor, but she's very holistic. She does not believe in medicines and surgeries, and she tries to do everything for you without going in that direction.
Mm-hmm.
And she's not your typical chiropractor. She does what's called the activator method. And it's extremely gentle and non-invasive. And I mentioned it in the beginning of my book, The Healthy Witch. And it's the only thing that actually helped me. And I started feeling so much better. And then I started having like other muscle aches and pains and not losing weight again. And I'm getting frustrated at this point. It has been years and nothing's working. And she also does this thing called the nutrition response testing. Now, back when this all first was figured out, and I forget the gentleman's name who created the activator method, and the nutrition response testing is where they just take like a little glass vial of the essence of something, let's say egg or tobacco or sugar or something, and they can literally hold it on an area of an organ on your body, and you hold one of your arms straight out, and they push down on it, and you try to resist. If you cannot resist, that's your problem. If you can resist, they can figure it out and take it down to where do a process of elimination, right? To figure out this is the organ that has the problem. Oh, and now this is what's causing the problem. I had all over muscle inflammation. I could hardly stand to move. I couldn't stand to get massage therapy because my skin, my muscles hurt so bad to touch them. Could not figure out why I should be feeling great with all the stuff that I was doing. I should be feeling fantastic. Why was I feeling horrible? And found out I have an allergy to eggs. I said, what? I'm not allergic to eggs. I'm a farm girl. I grew up on eggs. You crazy? I have eggs all the time. And she's like, all the time? I'm like, yeah. Like chop them up in my salads, and I'm making omelets on the weekends and whatever. And she's like, no. She's like, you need to lay off the eggs. Humor me on this. Try for 2 weeks and tell me how you feel. Sure enough, in 2 weeks, I started feeling much better.
Wow.
And then 4 weeks into it, I was feeling great. And I was like, okay, well, this is it. And I was sold. I was like, that's it. These two things. So when I first started with The Healthy Witch, and I started blowing my ideas past some friends who have also done a lot of holistic stuff, they're like, oh, this is unfound claims. And I'm like, oh, no. These are found claims. Because what I put in my book is based on what I've actually tried. And the things that I've tried have been proven to work for years and years and years, and has grown in popularity because it really, truly does work.
And you can't be any more sure about that when you try, because a lot of people, they write books that they get information off the web or hearsay from somebody else, but it has to be tried and true. You have to believe in it before you write about it. And so, you're the real deal. You've been there, you've done that. I mean, you just talked about your journey all the way to get there. Right. And, you have an equation in the book that says, as within plus so without equals a healthy witch. But getting there takes the right magical work, and you teach us how to personalize our healing needs by fusing skills in magic and nutrition, conducting rituals, and employing specialized skills. Was it difficult to start plotting a course of what to include once you decided on doing this book?
It really was, because along with the nutrition response testing and the activator method that I was using, a girlfriend of mine introduced me to something called the Dragon's Way, which is an ancient Chinese theory of technique and nutrition. And it tries to use the Qigong kind of movements, which to me, those movements did not work for me. But what I really got into it was they use magical elements as well.
Yeah.
And their magical elements were also corresponding with organs. And the more I looked at it, And the more she was trying to teach me this stuff, I said, wait a minute, this is pagan. And she's like, what? And I'm like, yeah. I'm like, totally. I'm like, oh my God. So then I took it and I did the star and I put the elements on there, and I was like, well, wait a minute. They're saying this organ goes with this element. And I'm like, well, now, do I agree with that? And then I started going through this whole thing, and I felt obsessed with it for like a month. Mm-hmm. And I started just putting everything together, and I was like, yeah, because this organ goes with this. And that also goes with let's say Ostara, or, mm-hmm. or with Lammas, or, mm-hmm. oh my gosh, and then this goes with this. And now how else would I match these things? And I just started like matching all kinds of things up based on, once again, found claims from the Dragon's Way, which is a theory and practice that people have been using for centuries and mm-hmm. has been proven to work a lot. Well, works for a lot of people. For mm-hmm. me, I did the Qui-Gon didn't work, but this magical their theory mm-hmm. worked. And I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm a witch, so let me try this spell with this, mm-hmm. and let me try this. And then the more I'm reading up, I was like, well, wait a minute, I'm good with herbs too. Well, then I figured out, dandelion is a great, it's a great way to flush out your liver. Mm-hmm. Liver cleanse. Everyone's like, I'm going to do a cleanse. A cleanse of what? Oh boy, have fun with that. So everybody has their idea of a kind of a cleanse. Okay, right. Dandelion is fantastic for a liver cleanse, and so is arugula. But arugula, natural bitters. Yep. Sure enough, and when I was flushing out my liver, because I have to back up a little bit because I didn't quite finish what I was telling you about the whole egg thing. My liver was taxed from all the poisons of egg floating around in my system. I was eating so much egg, the liver couldn't process it out. So I was on the verge of liver failure. Mm-hmm. Not a good thing. So the doctor was like, stop the eggs and you need to do a liver cleanse. Drink a dandelion tea. Yogi has a fantastic dandelion chai tea.
Mm-hmm. I love your ginger tea too.
Oh yeah, isn't it awesome?
Yeah.
So yes. So I was like, yeah, I just steep it in some hot water and sip it before I go to bed at night. I don't do it all the time anymore, but when you're doing a cleanse, you can do that, or you can just do it once a week after you get yourself cleaned out. But that was the whole thing, because the stuff, it festers in your system. It backs up into your bloodstream, which goes into your cells, which goes to all your organs, and then goes in all throughout your muscles of your body. And your muscles are like, oh my God, I can't take this, and they become inflamed. So that's what that's all about. So that's what happened with the creation of this book. And then I actually spent an entire year, and I started with Yule, and because I wanted to start with the dark time of the year. Right. And I started doing my own little spells and rituals to focus on healing from the inside. And so that's why I use that phrase, as within, so without. So let's make ourselves healthy inside. And the blood flow is also what the Chinese call, the qi or the qi. And it's got to flow through. And then also everyone understands about the meridians having to be open. So if you get that magical energy, your energy flowing, you feel good on the inside, where it's going to radiate from the outside as well. It's going to help your skin and your eyes and your hair and your nails and everything else, and you're just going to feel fantastic, because your energy and your magic is not going to work for you if you feel horrible and sluggish.
Yeah, and I was going to ask you about the Dragon's Way. I was going to ask you about the Pentagram Model, but you've already said that. But along the lines of finding out what our needs are, I mean, you say that the best way to start is to list your physical issues from head to toe. And right in the book is a list of body parts where people can just fill in the blanks. So that makes it easy.
Starting you off, yeah.
And now some people have issues, though, recognizing it. Well, some of them have recognizable issues like arthritis or diabetes or whatever. But other people who are in fairly decent shape, like you were, well, you weren't, but I mean, about the eggs things, you don't realize that there are areas that need bolstering or looking into. So I'm guessing the answer to that is to first go have a physical with doctors, or, go do some Chinese medicine or whatever to really find out what kind of shape we're in, and then we proceed, right?
Correct. Yeah, you should always check with your doctor first. And, even though my book is try to have a more holistic approach without taking medicines, but my God, if you have to be on medicine for high blood pressure, diabetes, whatever, stay on it. Of course, you don't come off of it unless, your doctor says so or you feel good enough. There's only one person that I know that used some of the methods in my book, and he actually posted something on Amazon. It was a fantastic review. He was a great testimonial, and he's got high blood pressure and diabetes, and he started using some of this stuff and in the book, and he went off of his diabetes medicine, and I actually spoke to him a few weeks ago. He's still off of it. He's been off of it since September, and he feels fantastic, and he's gained his weight back too.
Oh, see?
I'm like, wow, that was fantastic. Well, that worked for him. It may not work for someone else. So the main thing is you have to narrow down, do you feel comfortable moving forward with this book? The book is not a one-all cure-all. It's not, and I say that. I say that in the book. It's not. And it is based on all of my findings, everything that I did for an entire year. And then by the time the year was over, I felt fantastic. I got so excited. I actually wrote this book in no time. In a matter of months, I put it all together.
Well, you didn't have to do other people's research. You had your own. And that always makes writing a whole lot easier when it's from personal experience.
Oh, yeah, definitely.
And plus you had such a great outcome in all this. So let's talk just a little bit about pain, because, there are several people probably listening in that have painful areas, knees and back and shoulders or whatever. We all do. We all get our own aches and pains. But let's talk about chronic pain for a little bit, because yours was chronic for a long time.
I still have it.
There you go. Okay.
In my neck, I have a problem in my neck, and that was something that was inflicted upon me back in my 20s, and I'll have to live with it for the rest of my life. So, so you get to the point where you have to have manageable. You have to manage it in some kind of way so you can still function and feel good.
Okay, so you have any secrets on that?
No, not really any secrets. I wish I did, because I would bottle it. But the only thing I can tell her, you find a doctor, whether it's massage therapy, whether it's, a chiropractor, an activator chiropractor, which, there's a difference there, folks. Or maybe you really believe in your acupuncturist. That's wonderful. You keep that up, but you can't just sit in a corner and just, sit there and hug yourself and rock, because, the pain it's always there. It's always, the knee is always hurting you. Well, you know what? I have a pain in my one knee also. But you keep going. You keep taking those stairs, and then you rest it. I use CBD oil on my muscles, and I also use Biofreeze. And they're fantastic. Don't use them at the same time in the same place, because that's not good. It irritates the skin. We use one or the other,
Yeah, somebody was mentioning Biofreeze to me the other day because they were having some sciatic issues. And they said that they were using the TENS meter thingy, but also they were using the Biofreeze as well, and both fairly good results on both of those things.
Oh yeah, but I will give you a tip, a secret for sciatica, or if your sacroiliac is starting to hurt and you can't get to your chiropractor or activator chiropractor, whoever you go to, which of course right now nobody's touching anybody.
Right.
So here's the secret, folks. What you have are trigger points. They're mostly in your glutes. And take a tennis ball set the tennis ball on the floor, sit next to that tennis ball, and very gently lift your butt up over and sit on that tennis ball and just kind of scooch it around a little bit until you find a spot that just makes you holler. Because that's your trigger point, and you sit on it, and you keep putting pressure on it until it releases. And roll that ball around a little bit more on your butt cheek to see if you can find some more spots. And just keep doing it. If you do that a little bit every night for a week, your aches and pains for your sciatica and your sacroiliac and other pains that you might have in your hip joints and all, it will lessen. It actually will lessen. Feel much better.
Yeah, and finding those trigger points, I know, is very important, because I had a friend who was a chiropractor, well, still is. I just haven't spoken to him in 100 years. But he was always on about the pressure points, you know, for the stiff neck, and find that. And he, you know, pushing down on those and finally releasing them is such an amazing feeling. And I think maybe that also has something to do with acupressure, you know, the Chinese thing. So it's all maybe tied into one. And I know they have graphs and things about different pressure points and stuff to look at. And so if anybody, you know, has a particular thing, it might be good to just look up a little pressure point or acupressure and see if that doesn't help, you know, because not everybody can roll on a tennis ball because that's not the right area.
Exactly. Yeah. I mean, you do, but it's an idea, and it's good for that lower part of your body. But the main thing is, I always say to everybody, just don't give up. Just don't just sit around and like, oh, I hurt, so I can't move. The more you move, the better you actually feel. And some people will sit there and shake their heads and go, no, not for me. Well, then try to figure out something that is good for you, because I even put in the Healthy Witch, if exercise is just not for you and you're just not going to do it, at least try to do stretching. You can do some sort of stretching. You can do it on the floor in front of the TV. You can use resistance bands. You know, you can do like some leg lift things. Just something. Just move a little bit, because especially since we're all so cooped up right now, you know, try to do a little something. Do it gently. Do it slowly. Do it every other day. But just try to do something. You don't have to come out, you know, like, Pavam, I've got this fantastic beach body. Look at me, you know. It doesn't. That's not realistic for a lot of people.
No, it isn't. But yeah, and somebody just also mentioned Reiki in the chat room.
Oh, yeah, exactly.
Reiki,
and that stuff works. That stuff really works. Yeah, I have a fantastic girlfriend that's great with that stuff. And shout out to Brandy. Hey, if she's listening, she is awesome. And I personally have never had it done to me. And when this is all over and we can get back out to being socializing, I would love to have a Reiki session with her, you know, to help out. Yeah.
I mean, Reiki is wonderful, and even distance Reiki. It works very well on a lot of people. And, you know, depending on what they've got or whatever, but it's kind of a neat thing to do. And some people go, oh, how can you do it? You have to lay hands. Well, you don't lay hands when you do Reiki face-to-face either. You know, that's not how it works. Sure. So,
that's very true.
Focus in and distance Reiki works really, really well. So, yeah, there's a lot of different things out there that you can achieve. But like you said, it's hard not to give up. I mean, there are people that are literally almost crippled because they can't get up and move around and stuff. And of course, that is not only physical pain, it's mental anguish too, because you just can't think straight sometimes or whatever. But, you know, I guess maybe, like you were saying, the acupuncture and all this stuff, I mean, I guess explore different avenues and, you know, find somebody who can, you know, help you. And really, I do believe, you know, there was some talk in the chat room a little while ago about holistic medicine versus regular medicine, but this person had a very serious medical condition. And so, you know, you had to go to Western medicine and everything. But I mean, she said, you know, everything has its place. But a lot of, in fact, I've got a naturopath coming on in a couple of weeks. did a pre-record with him the other day, and he was talking about natural healing versus, pharmaceuticals in a way. And it really works really well for him. And he explained a lot of things that I didn't know, and you're explaining a lot of things that I didn't realize either. So, hey, I like learning.
Me too.
Yeah, well, you're a good teacher today. So, that's really important.
I'm like you. I'm just like you. I want to get out there and listen and talk to other people about what do you do or what do you do. And then let me tell you what I do. Oh, well, maybe I could take some of what you do and incorporate that into what I do. And because I'm very eclectic that way. I jump all over the place. I want to learn about different religions and different ways that people do things and different spirituality things. And that sounds cool. Let me try that, And if I try it, it didn't work out for me. Okay, but I tried it and I figured out something new. And the same thing with with the health and the nutrition and working out in any kind of way, doing exercises and stuff. That was all trial and error for over 10 years. Mm-hmm. Yeah. It took a long time, and then of course, then it was almost like you had your aha moment, and a lot of witches get an aha moment, and it's like, oh, here we go. Oh my God, I feel fantastic. Oh wow, this is really working. Mm-hmm. Wow, I'm doing all these rituals. Each one is based on, health, and let's continue, working and focusing on this. And I found this cool little spell, and I'm going to try this cool little, oh my gosh, it seems to be working, and I'm feeling great. Throw it all together. And I have a book, and I wanted it to be simplistic, and I wanted it to be for everybody. I wanted it to be for the beginner. Mm-hmm. A lot of people are like, oh, this book is common sense and stuff you should have known. Yeah. Well, duh. Yeah, some of it is.
Should have being the operative words, yeah. We don't know it all. Yeah.
Right. Some people are like, oh, well, I don't like it that she didn't put us on a diet. And I'm like, no, I didn't put you in the diet. Instead, I told you what to omit from eating or drinking or intaking. Mm-hmm. Psychology. I didn't put you on a diet per se, but I told you what not to intake. Mm-hmm. So essentially, you will lose the weight if you omit those things.
Yeah,
it's simple.
It's simple on paper, but some people are not easy to get through to.
No, you can't. Well, it's like, yeah, I know I shouldn't, but I love them and I'm going to keep eating them. It's like, no, lay off the potato chips. Oh, I can't. I love them. It's like, well, you know what? You have to figure out what you want to do. I'm giving you the tools. I'm giving you some ideas. I'm giving you something simple right here in front of you that you can work through. Take your time with it. Yes, it looks like a quick read, but if you go back and you really start looking at everything and each of the lines, there's something stuck in there that you might have missed. So go back and go a little slower with it, and you can do this book over and over for each organ if you want to.
Yeah.
So I just I try to make it so it could be for either a beginner or someone who's advanced and just wants to try something different.
Well, I'm also going to jump in here because we got like 30 seconds to the break, but it's not just for witches because anybody can benefit from this book.
Exactly. Yeah.
And I think that's an important point to make because, a lot of people that listen to the show are not pagans, they're not witches, but they want to get healthier. And so, it's across the board. And so I thought it was important to mention that now. But but we probably have a lot more to talk about. But I think we're going to take a quick, healthy break, unless all of you listening in are going to run out and grab a big hunk of cake or a bag of chips, but that's on you. But as TJ says in the book, everything in moderation. So go do what you need to do, and we'll be back in 2 minutes.
Don't go away. There's more Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks right after these important messages.
Red, where are you going?
I'm going back to the paranormal view, back where I belong.
Please, take me with you.
No, I'm through with everything here. I want to see if there's something left in life I haven't explored. Do you know what I'm talking about?
Oh, Red, don't run to them. They talk about ghosts and hauntings, UFOs, and all kind of supernatural scary stuff.
You'll never understand, will you, Scarlet?
No!
Well, that's your misfortune.
Red, if you go, where shall I go? What shall I do?
Frankly, my dear. Line.
Oh, you gotta be kidding.
That's the Paranormal View with your host, Henry Foister, Jeffrey Gould, and Barbara Duncan. Every Saturday night at 8 p.m. Eastern, exclusively on the Para X Radio Network.
Hey everyone, it's Marla. If you like tonight's episode of Stirring the Cauldron and the archive podcast as well, take a look at the show's YouTube channel and check out the dozens of shows that are there just waiting to be heard. New shows are added each week, and while you're there, why not subscribe? It's free. And if you click on that tiny little bell icon at the top of the page, you'll be notified when new shows are available. Just go to youtube.com and then type in Stirring the Cauldron Para X and the link will appear. Just like magic.
Welcome back to Stirring the Cauldron. Once again, here's your host, Marla Brooks.
Yeah, and welcome back. My guest tonight is TJ Perkins, and she's the author of a new book called The Healthy Witch, which is a workbook for optimal health. And, jumping back into the book, it goes through each organ in the body, allowing us to gain kind of optimal health via signs and suggestions and practical tips, and examines each element and discovers how your organs interact and affect your magical energy flow as well. Now, that sounds complicated, but it really isn't, is it?
No, it really isn't. I try to make things as simplified as possible. A lot of people are like, well, it sounds complicated, but once you start doing it, then you're like, oh, this really is working, and oh, that does work with that. And if you even look stuff up in medical books, it'll even tell you how, the different organs, how they connect with each other. And if you kind of put the pentagram model up against your body, you'll see where the organs almost match exactly for the points of each of the stars, which I didn't realize until after the book was out. And I was like, oh, yeah, look at that. Because that works. That's awesome.
And the other thing with the pentagram, too, the pentacle, is that you have healing rituals for each Sabbath as well. And I think that's important because each ritual focuses on not just the season of the year, but also the parts of the body. And like Beltane, for example, which is just around the corner, deals with the element of wind, the season of spring, and the body correlation is liver and gallbladder. So for those who don't know the Wheel of the Year or Sabbats, there are 8 Sabbats. So each one goes along with this, and there's a ritual to do for each one. And because our Sabbats are seasonal, spring equinox, winter equinox, I'm not going to go through the whole thing, but it kind of tunes you into the season that we're in. I guess maybe that's a better way to put it.
Right, and that's a good way to put it too.
Yeah. So, I mean, and again, anybody can do these rituals. They're not complicated. They're not, people sometimes are afraid, well, if I do something that witches do, does that make me a witch? You get really afraid. No, it doesn't. It just makes you smarter because you're doing stuff that is beneficial to you. So don't even worry about that. But it's really, really, really important to follow things and get to learn to know your body. Which is, something that a lot of people don't. Go ahead.
I'm sorry to interrupt. I was going to also say the other important thing is that the book is not just for women. It's for men, too. Even though, I did write the book for, someone who practices Wicca or someone who was a witch. It could be for male or female, but normally it's female. So I kind of used she or leading more towards the divine feminine more than a masculine. But it's good for men or women. And I've even had couples using some of the spells together and doing magic work together, especially the shower spells.
Yes, let's talk about a shower spell, because there's a couple things I want to talk about in here. But I mean, I've always done the shower spell, but I think, why don't you familiarize people with what it is and how to do it and what it's for?
So, it's very easy. A lot of times, let's say you're coming home from work. Work is very stressful. You've had a bad day or whatever. The best thing to do is come straight home before you do anything else. Get your shower going. Take a small black candle. You can set the candle someplace where, of course, it's not going to burn anything down. Start burning your black candle. Get in the shower and start visualizing all that negativity as maybe like a black film on your body. So as you're washing yourself, you're going to visualize all that black just running off of you from head to toe. It's coming off of every part of you. It's going down the drain. So you're washing it down the drain. You can just say something very simple, just to yourself. You don't have to say it out loud. I banish all the negativity from today, leaving me, say it from your heart, say it, with love in your heart, and you can smile while you're, showering and visualizing all that negativity coming down off of you, all the way down your toes and down the drain, and just let the black candle burn out. Simple, you're done.
Yeah, and sometimes, I do it similarly. I'll lather up and, from head to toe, and then I'll just stand under the shower and watch the soap go down, because that's something visual that you can see, and just watch it go down the drain, and just with it, it's like out damn spot or whatever,
There you go. I love that. Yeah.
You watch it and it goes, and it really is relaxing to do that. You can do it in the morning, if you want to get the day started right or whatever. But yeah, because we all kind of walk around with baggage. Even being out with people that have baggage, it kind of sticks to you sometimes. And
does.
Yeah.
It does. I use a word called glom. It gloms onto you. It just won't let go. You've got some people who are like energy vampires, and they want to hang around you, and then you just feel so drained after you're around that person, and you need to energize. Well, I can always energize with a nice glass of wine as soon as I get home.
That's always helpful too. Yeah, exactly.
But when you're around energy vampires at work, or, just got an evil boss or somebody who's just nasty, another good thing to do is to go stand outside when it's breezy. Hold your arms out to the sides, face that wind as it's coming right to you, and envision yourself like a piece of Swiss cheese. And then just like the wind and everything is blowing through you, and all that negativity is just being taken with it, and it's gone. And you don't have to say anything. You don't have to burn candles. You don't have to do anything. So once again, for all the people who are not pagan, they're not witches, and they're worried about doing spells that would make them a witch. You know what? We all have this power inside of us. It doesn't make you a witch, but I always say every woman is born a witch. Everybody has this magic power. You can do your own personal magic. It's the same as praying. It really is.
Yeah, well, and men too. They have witch in them too.
Oh yeah, they do. There's some wonderful male witches out there.
Yes, there are. Okay, so let me think of it. There was something I was going to say, but it went out of my head, which is okay. We need to do something for memory. But basically, what you're saying is that the tools in this book will guide people to naturally become healthy and enable them to work with the goddess from a place of sacred well-being, which is important. Because, other than our health, which is probably the most important aspect, we're not, by doing the stuff in the book, not only improving our health and well-being, but we're also improving our spell work. And that makes good sense, because those of us who do that, know that doing a spell when we're not up to snuff usually turns out to either not be a spell at all, doesn't work at all, or it's so weak that it's a waste of time.
Right. Fizzles out.
Yeah, and we've all had a
Yeah.
fizzle here and there.
Oh,
sad,
yeah.
sad but true. It happens.
No, I have too. I've had my share of fizzles.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, practice makes perfect, or fizzles make perfect, or whatever, because you learn from your mistakes.
Right.
Now, one thing, I mean, again, I'm learning a lot of stuff, but you have healing spells in the book for every part of the body. But you also have things like a magical bath, and you have a magical bath for the liver, and healing charms, and you also talk about magical foods and the thing. I didn't realize, for example, that water-based fruits are best for the stomach and the spleen. See?
Yes.
I didn't know that. I didn't.
Like grapes.
Watermelon.
Like grapes,
yeah.
And watermelon and apple. Yes.
Mm-hmm. So, I mean, there's all this kind of stuff in the book as well, information that you might not even think about you want to know. But then when you look at it and think, oh, why didn't I know that? You know, I mean, it's just, it's really interesting. And then, I don't know if you can recite this by memory, but I really like the witch's glass chant for the kidney and bladder area.
You like that one?
I love that one. Can you share it? If you need to grab the book, I'll take a minute.
Yeah, I got it here in front. Here it is. Yes, this just came to me one day. I guess it was just the goddess talking to me. Mm-hmm. So you take a small glass of water, and you drip in some apple juice and sesame oil and raspberry leaf for the kidney, if that's what you're focusing on, or maybe some elderberries. You can crush them up and just sprinkle a little bit in for the bladder, if that's what you're going for. You hold the glass in your hand, and with your pointer finger of your dominant hand, so if you're right-handed or if you're left-handed, that's the hand that you'll use, and you're going to stir it clockwise, and you're going to say, I stir the items in this glass. Heal me now, make it last. Berries or leaf, real and raw, remove the sickness, consume it all. And then you stare into it, so you're staring your intent into that glass while the water is swirling around, and make sure all your pain and discomfort is absorbed into it. And then you finish up by saying, by the power of 3 times 3, this spell bound round shall be, to cause no harm, nor return on me, and as I will, so mote it be. You don't drink it, you're going to take it out to a crossroad. And a lot of people are like, crossroad as in, yes, a 4-way stop, crossroad, and dump it. So it can be taken away by the travelers. So you have your spirit travelers that come by the 4-way cross, the crossroads, and they'll take it away.
I never thought of that either. You know, I thought a crossroads. Where the hell in the city am I going to find a crossroads? And
well, if you can't find it in the city, you dump it down the drain and use your garbage disposal. There it goes. And
yeah, but I mean, having an intersection with 4 thing. I mean, even small towns have that. So, it shouldn't be too hard to do that. But again, that was something else it gave me a V8 moment. I went, whoa, that is a crossroads. Duh. Yeah, how
but
stupid.
But you could also flush it. You could flush it. You could write something on a napkin or tissue paper, what you want to get rid of. Stare at it, visualize it, say a little chant, throw it in the toilet, flush it. It's gone.
Yeah, and for those who don't know about this, it's just your intent that makes it work. If you believe that it will work, it will. I mean,
and it will.
Yeah, it's just that simple. All right, I have a question from chat. Do you have any suggestions for somebody that gets like severe leg cramping or hand cramping or severe cramping?
Yes, lay off of caffeine. I'm telling you, if you're drinking a lot of caffeine, especially chugging down Red Bulls or whatever, lots of soda, caffeine tends to give you foot cramps, toe cramps, Charlie horses, and it's bad. And I get them too if I drink too much iced tea or tea with caffeine. So if I lay off and I do herbal teas or caffeine-free, I don't get them. As soon as I drink too much, that caffeine will mess up your muscles. It gets all in your muscles, and he could drink some dandelion tea to try to flush out his muscles in his system.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's a good idea because, people say, well, I just, I'm drinking decaf, but some people are very sensitive. I'm sensitive to caffeine. And even if I drink decaf, it kind of gives me a slight little tiny buzz. So, and then some people can drink tons of coffee, pots of coffee, and not, blink an eye. So
yeah,
it's totally
there's people. It's like, why can't I be one of those people? I just can't. My body just gets to the point where it doesn't want all the caffeine. And he could also maybe try to cut back on consuming egg, anything with egg, pastas, mayonnaise, and just maybe cut back for 2 weeks and see if the cramps go away, because he could be having something similar to what I had, the all over muscle inflammation.
Mm-hmm.
He could. It could happen. So you could give it a shot. Try some different things and see if that works for him. You really should give it at least a 2-week trial period to see if that's working or not.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I mean, nothing happens overnight. And, it's really good advice. Try.
Yeah.
As long as
it takes about 2 or 3 days to get stuff out of your system that you consumed. Mm-hmm. So if you drink caffeine, it takes 4 days for caffeine to work out of your system. Mm-hmm. Food, it takes 3 days to work out of your system. A steak dinner, that's going to take a week.
It'll sit there like a rock. Yeah. Well, what about meat? I mean, I think that too much is not good. You think of Henry VIII and gout, but we all need a little bit of meat in there. But then people are under the impression that, meat's protein. Red meat is protein. Well, yeah, but so is chicken and so is fish and whatever.
And so are nuts.
Yes,
nuts are protein. Mm-hmm.
Uh-huh. Yeah. So you don't need to give up meat completely, but too much is probably too much. Now, speaking of cleansing the system, let's talk about chakras for a minute, because I want you to tell everybody how important it is for us to cleanse the chakras, and how often should we do it? Because I used the other G word, but I'm going to use gunk. The chakras get gunked up. So
they do. They get gunky, and then and their color's dull, and they don't spin as fast. It's sort of like, lubing up the engine of your car. So your body is your vehicle. So your spirit is in this vehicle that has to move and function of its own accord, so you can have your physical independence. So when your chakras get all gunked up, I have a chakra cleansing on page 82 and 83 in the book that you can try. Mm-hmm. I have given different kinds of stones and crystals that you can use. If you don't have any of them, then just use quartz. Yeah. If you don't have as many, use what you have, and don't go crazy, run into a metaphysical store. But yes, I would say you should cleanse. Start off trying to do it every day for a week, and then after that, I would back off and I would just do it once a week. Definitely work on, opening the third eye also as you go up. There is a little ritual. It's a fire ritual. Mm-hmm. Where you just do something you don't have to follow what's in my book, but you could also do a very simple where you light a candle and you focus on the flame, and you just kind of use your hands to brush the fire energy like around your root chakra. And then you put your hands cross over your chest to your heart, like thanking the flame for that energy. And then you put your hand to the flame again, and then you fan it around, to the next chakra area around your belly, and then you put your hand to your heart, and you do that all the way up, and then of course all over yourself, and you're just using that fire energy all over yourself, and you thank the flame, and then you can snuff the candle out when you're done. You could do that instead of doing what's in my book, but it's really important, because once again it goes with that energy flow. It's what's going on inside of you. So as within, so without equals the healthy witch. And so I always say that, you take in all that is good and healing, and you expel all that will harm or hinder. And healing your chakras and cleaning them until you can envision them, the bright red and the bright greens and, all the bright colors, and they're spinning, really fast. And you can kind of go, when you're done. It's fantastic. It feels great.
And Kathy in chat said, and remember to mend those cracks in the chakras as well.
Yes.
Exactly. Okay. Now, also, in the back of the book, you have a list of herbs and their medicinal purposes, and that's really a nice touch because, people wonder, and then things are right there at their fingertips.
And there's so many herbs to go by. And, my favorite herbal book is from Scott Cunningham, and I think he covers like so many wonderful things. But I only put in the book those things that would kind of go with what people are doing in the book itself. I didn't want to do a whole laundry list. I just did simple stuff. And I tried to include a lot of herbs that we use in the kitchen for those ladies and gentlemen who are, kitchen witches. or you're just little culinary experts. And I was like, I've got this, and I've got that. Yeah. Exactly. I don't want you going out to the store and buying a bunch of stuff. Just use what you have. So I try to keep it simple.
No, you did. And, it's not like reading a textbook at all. There's some really nice illustrations in there. And then you also have, like, references and books to read and website references, too. And so, it's just like, it's a little book. It's full of information. It won't give you a hernia to walk around with it, but there's just so much there. And before we forget, and I'm going to forget if I don't mention it now, we were talking right before the show about oracle decks, and you have an oracle deck for this book, yes? Or it's coming out?
Yes. Well, let's see. So right now I have created the Healthy Witch oracle deck. And I have an artist who is a lovely lady who is also a published author with my publisher, who is doing the artwork, and she draws everything by hand. And her artwork is really cute. And so we believe that it's going to be accepted. We are waiting to hear. It's past the first part of going through my acquisitions editor, and when the board members get a chance to kind of get together, we don't know when that's going to be, but they're going to get together and look at it and vote on it, and let's hope that it's going to be created.
So it's going to be a healing deck, right?
Right. People can pull a card a day, and it'll hopefully give them an idea of what that's what you need to work on, and it has a little mantra that goes along with the organ. So I have all kinds of things from your skeleton to your muscles to each organ that's in the book, to self-care, self-wellness. It covers anything and everything I could possibly think of. And I have a mantra that goes with each one that you can go by, and then it has a little booklet that gives you even more information and magical associations with each one.
Good. Oh, question from chat. I didn't see that. Kathy says she's allergic to flowers, and lots of herbs are made with flowers. Are there any substitutes?
I would say, oh boy.
See, I have a great idea. They have good questions.
That poor thing. She's allergic to flowers. Okay, so I would just say omit the herbs and flowers if they're going to irritate you, and I would stick with the crystals. I would stick with crystals. Or maybe she can use the herbs that you get from a grocery store, like basil and oregano and mint,
and they haven't bloomed.
Right, they haven't bloomed, and they're kind of processed, and that might be something that she can use, but still be using the herb, just not the fresh. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah,
the fresh being picked out of the ground. Yeah, so I would say do that.
Okay, that's a good thought. Let me see.
I was also going to mention, along with not just being healthy from the inside out, but you also have to be mentally healthy.
Yes.
And, so like stress, boredom, depression, or anxiety from things that are happening right now is, so we have to try to keep our head. I know it's very hard. A lot of people are going through a really difficult time right now. And I have a trick that you could try. I don't know if it would work out, but try to create a schedule and kind of be like a clock watcher. So get up in the morning and then say, okay, from this time to this time, I'm going to do this. And then when that time is done, all right, so, and then I'm going to work on this. And then actually take a lunch break like you would if you were at work. So you can kind of like make a schedule for yourself as if you were at work. And then 4 or 5 o'clock, okay, I'm done with everything. Now I'm going to do this. And cook dinner and be just like as if I came home from work, and try to do it that way. Because what happens is, right now we're sort of like on the desert island, and we've been stripped of all of our importance, all of our busyness, all of our work names that's given to us. Whether we're the boss or a manager, or you're the important accountant or whatever. So those things are kind of like been peeled away from you right now, and you're sitting on a desert island by yourself. So now that busy stuff is all taken away from you, what kind of person are you really? So you're creative, you're a mom, or you're a sister, or what are you a writer? Are you a musician? Are you a painter? What do you like to do? What is really, really and this is causing us all to stop and think and reconnect within our own selves, and bring out that best part of yourself, if you can, to not let the boredom take over.
Yeah.
So that's my little trick to see if that would kind of work for anybody.
That's good advice. Very good advice. And now, before we get the hook, tell everybody where they can find you and the book and all that good stuff.
Okay. Well, my book it's on Amazon. You could go to Schiffer Publishing. It's under their other publishing company, Red Feather. You could order it through any of your local bookstores. They may not carry it on the shelf because they may not know about it. You can order it and they'll ship it to you. Let's see, my website, I'm on Author's Den. So you can do authorsden.com /TJ Perkins. I'm on Facebook. I'm on Twitter. I'm on Goodreads. And I'm on LinkedIn.
She's easy to find, guys, and we're going to get the heck out of here right now. So as TJ, I want to thank you so much for joining us, and people want you back, so we'll do that again sometime, okay, down the line.
Thank you so much for having me. I have enjoyed speaking with you and your audience very much, and I look forward to speaking to everyone again and answering their questions.
Yay, sounds good to me.
Yay.
And I want to thank everybody who's listening in also. And until next time, everybody, blessed be and merry meet again. Good night.
The circle be open, but unbroken. May the peace of the goddess be ever in your heart. Merry meet and merry part, and merry meet again. Merry meet again. Merry meet again.
Thank you for tuning in to this episode of Stirring the Cauldron with Marla Brooks. Please join us again next week at the same time for another great guest and more cauldron stirring. Any rebroadcast or other use of this program without explicit permission is strictly prohibited.